Good afternoon and welcome to the Rube Report. This is Howard Rube, Athletic Director and Head Football Coach of your Astoria High Fighting Fishermen. Very excited to be back and with you on this Thursday afternoon. We've had a really good start to our athletic season with school just starting this week as well, and we're excited to talk about it. I'll be joined by Mr. Dane Gouge, owner-operator of Astoria Ford and voice of the fishermen, as well as the producer of our show, Sean O'Connor. So please stay with us. I would like to thank our title sponsor, the Northwest Lending Group. The Northwest Lending Group has been helping Clatsop County residents achieve their dream of home ownership since 1992. Greg has a full range of mortgage products. Please give him a call in Astoria for a no-pressure talk about your home financing needs. Greg's number is 503-325-4116. Again, 503-325-4116. And we have a participating sponsor this year, Joe's Mobile.
Because he switched brands.
So it's not Joe's Texaco.
Nope, it's Joe's Mobile. And it looks nice and shiny and brand new over there. It's looking great. But with that comes a new jingle, and I'm not prepared.
We don't have a jingle for Joe's Mobile?
I will before the next segment.
Gotta do some writing.
And while I'm at it, we have some additional sponsors to the Rube Report and to our YouTube broadcast. And those sponsors are Astoria Ford, Pacific Power, P&L Johnson, Van Dusen Beverages, the Ohana Media Group, PNC Construction, and Clatsop Distributing. So we're very grateful to those sponsors as well. Fellas, welcome back. I hope you had a nice summer.
I'm rusty. I can't even put sentences together.
Great. And
Labor Day hangover, too. We're just, starting the week on a Tuesday is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice to have Monday off. And
you guys are right back at it now.
Right back at it. Students back in school on Tuesday. I had an interesting Tuesday. The middle school was without power for the bulk of their start.
What a great way to start.
Yeah. And I think they actually had to make their lunches at the high school and then truck them over to the middle school to feed the kids.
It's utter chaos at the middle school.
Can you practice in the dark?
Well,
have some neon balls out there?
Possibly. Luckily, CMH did not have electricity, so it made for a dark locker room, but we could at least be outside practicing. So, yeah, it was interesting. First day this week without any power. But the athletic teams have been up and running. The interesting thing, it's funny, this week we've been saying welcome back and hi to a lot of faces in the building, but the athletic teams have been hard at it since the middle of August. So a lot of kids and coaches have really been grinding for the last month, and a lot of good results already. Our cross-country team had a great showing at Tillamook last Saturday. And our boys and girls varsity soccer teams are off to 1-1 starts heading into tonight's games. And football, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but the football team had a tough opponent in North Bend last Friday and started slow and is unfortunately sitting at 0-1, but we hope to get on the right track tomorrow night at Gladstone. But overall, a good start, I think, for our football program in terms of effort. And I think you could see some glimpses last Friday of what we hope to be. So we're relatively very pleased with how things are starting out. Everybody's relatively healthy, and everybody's attitudes are great, and everybody's working hard. So it's been a good start with that regard.
That's good, especially with the teams starting throughout the summer and not having now they got to get back into the school thing, but they've already got their cross-country team or football team, they got the plays and stuff down, so they don't have to necessarily study that at the same time.
Hopefully.
Well,
hopefully. Last Friday, I would say it didn't look like at times we had them all down, but
the fourth quarter looked good.
The fourth quarter did look good. And to be honest, I guess we could jump into football and talk about the game a little bit. Having put ourselves in a 10-0 hole to start the game and then ended up losing by 10. Gives a little bit of a statement about how we worked to be competitive throughout the night. We did, unfortunately, have a rough start. We threw an interception on the second play of the game, gave them a real short field. It was a really outstanding play by their outside force defender, their outside backer, made a great diving catch. But that allowed them to get a field goal. And our defense did a really nice job shutting them down to only allow a field goal. Then we sputtered on offense and had to punt. And then on our next possession in the punt, the punter has the ball go over his head on the snap. And, we fall on it around the 5, so then they end up punching that one in. So we're down 10-0 in the blink of an eye.
Yeah,
and
there was 8 minutes left in the first quarter. 10-0.
Yeah, we had played 4 minutes and we were down 10. So
what a front of team that.
and against a team that really, if they stay healthy, has a chance to certainly be a Final Four type of team.
Right.
It's not the kind of start you were looking for, or what we were looking for. And unfortunately, offensively, the rest of the half, we really sputtered. We just sputtered is the best way to put it. We'd have 10 guys doing their job and one guy not, and it just, against a really good team, you need all 11 executing their job. And I was proud of the fact that, I thought we went in at halftime and made some decent adjustments. And throughout the whole night, I thought our effort was outstanding. Our execution at times, not so much, but the effort certainly was. And no quitting our kids. We actually, I think if we could have got the last 2-point conversion, which failed when we scored with just under a minute left in the game, if we could have made it a one-possession game, and, it makes that onside kick a little bit more interesting, as we're trying to finish in a flurry at the end.
Well, then at that point, it brings in the kickoff at the second half when we're kicking off to them. And our guys go down and everybody's surrounding the ball, both teams, and no one falls on it.
It was bizarre. That was a really bizarre play. I've not seen anything like that in a long time, where everybody treated the kickoff like a punt. So to better describe for everyone what transpired, so we kick off to start the second half. Andrew Showerman, our kicker, does a great job, makes the ball bounce around the 20-yard line. And literally their returner, as well as our first 3 guys on the scene, just kind of look at the ball with nobody jumping on it. And then finally another North Bend player, actually their best player, or athletically their best player, the Wood kid, jumped on it, kind of came out of nowhere from the other side of the field and ended up jumping on it.
I think he was yelled at by Coach Tui Amato, who's going, "Jump on the ball!"
Yeah, I think everybody was yelling and jumping, and it was just bizarre that we did not end up jumping on it, and when we had an opportunity to. And certainly that would have been a big play. We would have had the ball around the 20-yard line on a short field. And
that would have been the 25 on their side at the beginning of the third quarter. So there would have been coming at the end of the game, I thought that was a big play for the Fish.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny the way the game ended up. You could almost literally look at a handful of plays and say, man, if we just would have executed on this one.
Right.
Or, you mentioned in the opening kickoff for the second half, if we just could have got on that ball, it was literally that kind of night where one play could have turned the tide. And I do think that speaks volumes about our kids and our coaches. The fact that even though we were down 24-0 at one point,
right,
we just kept battling and hoped to find a way to get back in the thing.
Well, North Bend knew that, too, because it happened to them last year at their house, where we came back in the fourth quarter and won. And this year, you could tell, 31-7, the coach was not letting up.
No, there was no, and that was a good thing. We made their starters play till the end, and we did a lot of good things. I mean, you can see that we have some really talented players with some really good work ethic, and if we can, especially offensively, start working together to shore some things up, I think you can see we have the potential to have something really special happen here this fall, and that's certainly what we're working to do.
Sure, and I noticed that too in the fourth quarter, where in the first 3 quarters, the guys were kind of stopping their routes if Fritz was in trouble, and on the other side, they were getting to open spots when their quarterback was in trouble, and that seemed to be the difference. In the fourth quarter, they were running their routes, getting into open spaces, and if Fritz got any trouble, he would, with his feet make a little something happen, and then there's a receiver in a wide open space for him. So that sure helped. In the first 3 quarters, it was kind of tough for him to find anybody downfield.
Well, I think that's a fair statement. I think, again, just us coming out slow in general speaks to what you're talking about. We really just kind of stood around, in my mind, and didn't play. We were kind of just taking it all in almost as bystanders, and then just trying to figure it out instead of just coming out and playing. And we did start to just play in the fourth quarter. And as you said, even just with receivers finishing routes, what a difference that made. And how good we looked offensively in the fourth quarter. We moved the ball really well. And we did a lot of good things. And so, there's a lot of good things to build on. I think, provided we take a step forward tomorrow night at Gladstone, we'll have a chance to feel real good about where we're at after 2 games. Gladstone only has 6 seniors on the roster. They're relatively young, and we need to take advantage of that tomorrow night. Some of their inexperience, and the bottom line, though, is it's more about us, not them. And I think we realized that after last Friday night. I think we were too focused on them, and that's what caused us to be tentative at first. We were more worried about them instead of us just doing our thing. And if we take steps in the right direction tomorrow night to fix that, that'll certainly be a step in the right direction.
Well, what good positive thing I want to bring out of it is that the linebackers played really well. The defensive line got after it after a while, but Frenzy was a big kid, and he was running the ball strong, but the linebackers did a good job stopping him. He broke through on he picked up some yards, but he only had 1 breakaway. And in the fourth quarter, the defensive line stood up, got in those gaps, and linebackers had done a good job pretty much all night of banging those guys up that were coming through there.
Yeah, I thought, Tyler Linkstad in the middle, and he was a DN last year. I thought he had a really good first varsity game at linebacker. He's played some linebacker for us at the lower level, when he was younger. But for being his first varsity start at middle linebacker, did really well. Samboy Tuamato returns as an outside backer. And when you go back and watch the film, he really had an outstanding game. He did a lot of good things on both sides of the ball. And then Colson started at outside backer and did some really good things for us. Has a tremendous motor. He's a kid that starts and finishes every play. And we also snuck in Trey Hageman in there at some outside backer, and he did a nice job. He also played a little safety. So as you said, there were a lot more positives than negatives after week 1, versus a very tough opponent.
Sure.
So
now let's get ready for Co-op League.
Well, that's what the non-league season's all about. Tomorrow night at Gladstone is another step in that direction. And that's certainly what our other team sports have been doing the last couple weeks. I will let everybody know what our schedule is for tonight. We have all of our teams in action in one say, shape, or form other than varsity football. We have our girls soccer team is at St. Helens. The boys soccer teams are hosting St. Helens. And we have fresh soft football at CMH Field at 6 o'clock against Gladstone. And volleyball is at home tonight, our first home match of the year with Cascade. And with JV and JV2 games at the Brick House starting at 4:30. And the varsity contest will hopefully start around 6 p.m. So a lot going on in the world of athletics on this Thursday for our high school. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, our teams are off to some really good starts. Volleyball is 2-0. Had a great 5-match contest against Rainier where we dominated the 5th game 15-5. We played that game in Seaside at a neutral court, which was a little different. That was not the original plan. There was a kind of a scheduling conflict. Rainier basically double booked. I think Graydon got confused with which AD was with which school. So so about a week before the contest, we ended up just moving the matches to Seaside, so Rainier actually had a doubleheader. They played us as well as Seaside that night, and then the week before we won in just 3 games. The volleyball team, they had a real good start at Catlin Gable, and as I mentioned, we won that in 3 straight games. So girls are happy about their 2-0 start in regular matches. We were at the Southridge tournament last Saturday. A lot of 6A and 5A schools are there, which is great competition for us. We had pool play in the morning, and then in the afternoon, once they set up the pools, we did end up going 0-2. But overall, very pleased with how volleyball has started under our new coach, Jesse Todd, and things seem real positive. The girls are real excited, and as you guys said earlier before the break, talking about the football team getting ready for the league season. Before you know it, our league season will be upon us for volleyball and soccer as well. The soccer teams, non-league so far, the boys have gone to Catlin Gable, where they had a tough go of it in the first one. That was last Tuesday, and really, Catlin Gable was kind of a 3A powerhouse, so we were on our heels a little bit to start and took one on the chin, but then came back last Thursday and had a real good showing with a real physical contest with Corbett, and we were able to win that 3-2, so we're excited for the varsity boys soccer program. The girls were real excited. We had a 1-0 shutout with Rainier last Thursday. Lexi Law, our returning all-league, all-state goalie, getting another shutout. So, everything is real positive. It's interesting with the soccer program. I don't know if we talked about it much in the spring in terms of the timing of when all this transpired, but Tim Fastaben, who had been our boys coach, is now our head girls coach, and Lee Kane, who is our JV girls coach the year before, is now our head boys coach. So, a lot of adjustments for the kids and the programs with technically new coaches. Both Coach Kane and Coach Fastaben have been longtime youth coaches and club coaches in our program, but certainly a little bit new with everybody in a new role. And we're happy that the kids are off to a real positive start. And that's kind of what's going on with our team sports. As I mentioned, the cross-country team had their first match at Tillamook, and we took 14 kids and had a real good showing. We had some really good times. Lucas Caruana had a really solid time and is off to a good start. So I know Coach Fick is working really hard. He's in his second year as a head coach. So a lot of young head coaches on our fall staff. I'm kind of the only old guy of the group.
And you're old.
And I know. My daughters celebrated their 20th birthday over the last weekend, and that made me feel very old.
It makes me feel really old because I'm older than you.
As you should, as you are older than me.
It's the hair. If I had your hair, I'd look.
I make myself look a little younger because I still have my hair for the most part.
I don't think anybody wants to hear about it.
No,
I'm sorry I brought it up.
I am too. Well, boys, anything else before we get out of here this first week? Like I said, it's been a good start. We're excited to get things rolling tonight for all of our teams. 2 of our groups at home. Again, if you have time, please get out to the Warrenton Soccer Complex to check out the boys soccer team. They'll be facing off with St. Helens JV at 4:15, varsity at 6, and we have home volleyball at the Brick House tonight. Fresh soft football at CMH Field, so you have lots of choices to go support our kids tonight, so please do so. Or even drive to St. Helens to support the girls. Like I said, everybody's in action, really, except varsity football and cross country. So a busy day, a busy week. And
if you're on Friday, you can still, if you got to be home and can't make it to Gladstone, you can look it up at astoriaford.com and click the web page and go to the YouTube, Dane TV, so we can watch your fishermen live.
And we appreciate Astoria Ford and Dane, along with our other participating sponsors, help put that on for us. We know that there were some audio issues opening week last Friday night, and we hope to have those things fixed and everybody be able to enjoy the broadcast if you cannot drive to Gladstone tomorrow night. So again, what's the website, Dane?
AstoriaFord.com.
Very good. So everyone, thanks for tuning in this week. We appreciate you listening in, and we appreciate the Ohana Media Group letting us try to keep our school connected to the community by providing this report. Everybody, thanks for listening.